Hi, my name is Tom Burke. I'm a brother of Quintessential Lodge number 500, and I'm also the chairman of the Committee on Community Action for the year 2012-2013. Here to talk to you about public relations for Masonic Lodges. When you want to talk about public relations for Masonic Lodges, you want to talk about getting started, I want you to appoint a director of public relations. It's important that it's a director and not a committee. And that's because responsibility is key. If you're able to set expectations to someone who is directly responsible for public relations, you're more likely to have a successful program. And also that person has the authority and the expectations in order to move forward on the various plans that you need them to for promoting whatever it is your lodge is working on, whatever programs and events that you have coming up. The expectations, what you want to do is think about where is your public relations going to be sent out. The Connecticut Freemasons newspaper, your lodge website, your lodge Facebook site, local media outlets, social media, variety of different ways that public relations can get out into the community as well as out among the brothers in your lodge. You're also going to want to appoint an official lodge photographer. They can use their own camera or have the lodge provide a camera. Several photos give the best opportunity to get the best pictures out there, so you have a lot of choices in which to use. And then share the photos as soon as possible. Timeliness is key. Consider a shared web portal or something like Dropbox or anything where you can share photos instantly among people and then use those photos as you develop your public relations into the community. So think about who your audience is. Recognize who they are. Not all newspapers and magazines target the same audience. Which section of the newspaper or magazine does your news item belong? If you're not sure, the publication may not know either. So you really need to investigate. Look at the newspapers, look at the media outlets, look at the online directories, look at the magazines that you're interested in, and get a feel for who they're targeting and what their messages are. Then write for your audience. Write specifically towards the audience you're trying to reach. If you're submitting an article to a society magazine, your information has to reflect that tone. If it's going to just a general newspaper, you're going to want to reflect a broad array of news that will resonate with the local community. Don't forget to consider a press release that can be read on radio. Several local radio stations will announce upcoming public events for free. You just have to reach out and get them the information. The 5 W's of journalism. Those are who, what, when, where, and why. Those are the questions you're going to want to answer as you develop your public relations for media outlets. And depending on what the story is, how and when you answer those W's may change. So think about this. A lead, it's a journalistic slang term for the first sentence or two in a story, is what you need to hook your audience. It's incredibly important. That lead really draws your readers in. So it might have to relay the most important parts of the story right up front, boom, right away. So that one first sentence, that lead, that's going to be your hook. And then you answer the who, what, when, where, and why in the body of the story. And depending on what the story is, the most important part should be up front as much as possible. The reason why is because if you've got a longer story and editors need to cut, they'll start to look at the back end of the story and then build up to the most important parts. So hit your public relations media outlets with everything you've got up front right away, most important, and then fill in from there, depending on how much space you think you have, or if you have as much freedom as possible, have a longer article, say for your own lodge website. And then you might see a shorter article show up in your paper as they kind of fit and cut to space. Write with a partner. There's somebody who might work on an article with you. Say, for example, a co-author. You and another brother from another lodge. You and somebody who's well respected in the community. If you're going to write about a specific topic. What's great about that is their reputation can help you. It can help your article move out and get seen by more people and read by more people. This is something that really works for many organizations. Use the recognition of other organizations to benefit you. Consider citing them in your article if they have high value in the community. Nonprofits working together often resonate highly with local community readers. So think about that. Your lodge often does things to help raise funds for another community partner. And say it's a local food bank. What's more valuable to a community than two nonprofits working together? Very little is that much valuable, because you have so many people involved and everybody wants to see positive news like that and see positive events. So that's great. And when you do that, it really resonates with everybody who's seeing that in the local community. Now, when you think about the publication industry, it's going through a huge change, a huge transformation. And a lot of newspapers now, their venues for local news are online. And they go into online directories and online websites, and they don't no longer print local news or public events or anything like that at all. So the best thing to do is check those websites. Go to the local newspapers' websites, see if they have a calendar of events. They might have a program for you to submit pictures and articles and add your events to their calendar of events coming up. That may not get printed in a paper, but that doesn't mean that your options are that much more limited. They're actually expanded because there's other places you can get your information out. If you haven't heard of Patch, that's another online newspaper that really does the same thing as the local newspaper, but it's now all online, and they do a better job of getting information out on the local basis. Truly effective public relations is all about relationship building. So when you think about it, if you want a good public relations program, you need to find out who it is you're reaching out to. Who's going to help you get that message out? Don't just email an article or press release or a photo to editor@newspaper.com. Call the newspaper, call the magazine. Ask to speak with the person who will be in charge of your news. Remember, these are people just like you, often overwhelmed by a flood of emails every single day, hundreds perhaps. But if they can flag an email from you for special attention after you contact them, you've already gained an advantage. And that's what you want in public relations. If it's about relationships, then it's about doing things for other people and they doing things for you and getting to know them and building that substantial relationship so that you can find out what they need for their work and they can find out what you need for your work. So where does your news item belong? You've got to ask yourself, really, where does it belong? Is it truly newsworthy to others outside the organization? Often the news of a lodge is best suited to the Connecticut Freemasons magazine. Your best bet for publication of lodge-specific news is with an internal Freemason publication, your own lodge website, Facebook site, or blog. And think of it, that Masonic news outlet is very similar to an employee newsletter. Use it to get your membership interested, excited, and proud. It's so important. Your lodge's website news might also draw interest from visitors and turn them into prospective brothers. So with that, when you think about that and reaching out with all that great news to all the people within our own Masonic community, we have a lot of people connected to our community who may or may not be brothers yet, or may know of people who are interested in the Masonic fraternity. That's the value of that internal Masonic news channel. Make your brothers know about what's going on, help them understand and get that message out, and they'll be even more proud of who and what they are because you're helping them to understand the great value you do. Now, on those news outlets that you're reaching out to, consider reciprocating. Place a small paid ad for an upcoming event like a pancake breakfast. It's a low-cost way to open the door to the possibility of future press opportunities. Once they know you, you have an advantage. So for example, say you have a fundraiser coming up and you want to get that out and get a lot going. You want to get a lot of post-event press to let the community know and build awareness on it. Consider placing an ad, a little quarter-page ad in their newspaper on Sunday events coming up to let the community know. And also, you're opening the door to the contacts at the newspaper, who you are. You have events, you have things coming up, and they're going to want to speak with you, and they get excited about what's going on because they can get readership interested in your event if your event has the photos and the write-up and you help them with their job. That's the important part. That's the relationship building. And finally, if someone helps you, thank them. If somebody does you a favor and puts your photos in and puts your write-up in and tells you, how to get things online, send them a thank you note. Send a handwritten one on Lodge stationery to their location. Think about it. In today's electronic world, that one piece of paper crossing their desk is going to send such a huge message compared to any email. They get hundreds of emails like you and I do. I rarely get mail on my desk anymore. Used to be the other way around. So what happens now? I actually look at what I get when it comes in the mail. I look directly at it. I'm like, oh, okay, I know exactly what this is. So think about that. Imagine how powerful that is to get a thank you letter from a representative of a lodge on behalf of all the lodge brothers for the help that they gave you in getting your press out. It's terribly important and builds that relationship. And then utilize all news outlets. Think about it. There's newspapers, there's online local news sites, there's patch, radio stations, magazines, there's social media, there's Twitter, there's blogs, there's television stations. Television stations have actually come out to some lodges at times depending on the events going on. Don't be afraid to utilize your news outlets, embrace them, get to know the people behind the scenes because they're the ones you want to build that relationship to. Thank you.